you can expect from your expectations or other people's expectations is disappointment, the whole struggle of not being able to do the things you want or the other person wants, and the whole, the whole fight that we constantly feel. So do you experience it? Yesterday in the conversation, so many people said that they would like to know more about expectations, and we thought, let's jump in and let's look at why expectations are so stressful and they cause like such a huge deal of anxiety for all of us. Now, before we go ahead and talk about this, I want you to understand the so-called nature of expectations. Expectations are something that you have as a mandate from other people, and then there are expectations where other people expect other things from you. So many times when people talk about that, I don't know how to deal with expectations, the implied thought here is they're talking about how other people behave. But how about our expectations? Our expectations from them, our expectations from ourselves, how does that work out? Is there any logic to the way we behave and the way we go about it, or is it about other people's stories only? Now I have to tell you the story. I remember many years ago, we had a formal kind of a dinner at home. People were like the few people who had come, they were very, very important, like officials and whatever. And one of the persons asked my ex-husband that, can I smoke in the house? Now, I absolutely do not like that lingering smell of the smoke. After people have smoked, how that for hours it feels. I'm very uncomfortable, or I was a lot more back in the day. So I was very clear that I do not like people smoking in the house. If you want to smoke, you can go out, and there's a nice balcony, you can just use anything, but not in the house. Now that person asked me directly. He said, Aditi, do you mind if I smoke in the house? You don't, right? And the very moment he asked me that question, I said, if you're asking me, bhaiya, I would prefer that if you don't. And in that moment, that very moment I said that you don't or you shouldn't smoke in my house, his entire expressions just dropped. He was so disappointed. He was so disappointed with me. He's like, how could you say this? How could you just behave in this manner? You don't have any hospitality manners. Everything was happening on his face. And I just stood there and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but if you ask me, this is what I wanted to say. So I said, okay, and my ex-husbands walked him out and they smoked out and they came back. But after that, the whole situation had changed. It was not like the way it was just minutes before he left. Everybody was like tense. Everybody's like, how could you do it? But this is what happens when we refuse other people's expectations or we fail them. Now, I was polite, yes, of course. I was firm, of course. I was calm, of course. I was authentic about my opinions, of course. Now, I applied exactly the model that I spoke about. You remember the model we spoke about? We spoke about it as facts. So firm, authentic, calm, tactical, and solution oriented. So I also gave him solutions to what he can do to solve the problem. But still, I landed up disappointing him. Now, that happens to you also, right? You do everything in your capacity, make sure that the other person gets your message, understands where you're coming from, but in spite of all of that, you land up finding yourself in this position where you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this. Why can't I get through this person? Why don't they get what I'm trying to say or where I'm coming from? Now, if that is a struggle, today's conversation is all about understanding expectations. And when people behave in that difficult manner of almost like no choice, what are they doing? They're fundamentally standing there and telling us that this is my mandate. This is what I expect of you to behave, to dress like, to talk like, to treat me like. And if you do not operate from this particular framework that I am presenting or I am demanding, then you are not good enough. Am I correct? Is that what the undertone sounds like? If you follow what they're trying to tell you, if you go with the flow and if you agree with what they're saying, then automatically it becomes like, okay, you are probably validated. You're probably in that good list of the person. You're probably in the so-called favorites. If you do not follow that, then you see the other side of their behavior, where they get disappointed, whether they obviously reject you, where you feel invalidated, where you feel that, oh my god, I was trying my best and I did everything in my capacity, and now that I haven't done this one thing, this person doesn't like me anymore, doesn't so people try to control things that they can control. People become controlling about things that they can control. What's the difference? When they have these all expectations, and when they set these expectations, if you train them into agreeing with them only because they have these expectations, it becomes a mandate. If you do not fall into the same trap and you say, okay, I will think about it and I will decide whether I want to do it or not, can I get some time here? Most of the time people get that point, but we do not dare to say that. We do not dare to step into that boundary and think about whether we should really confront people, whether we should actually make things uncomfortable for them, because it is uncomfortable. But this comes from clarity. It comes from you knowing what you want to do and you do not want to know. If you are constantly, if you're one of those people say, what do you think I should be doing? What do you think I should be doing? Do you think this is good for me? Do you think this is something? So you're constantly telling the other person that you do not have a clue about how you would like to lead your life, and they are better at knowing what you should be doing. So this is a ground that you set. Now you're like, but Aditi, we set that ground many years ago. What do we do now? The beginning of this transformation of managing expectations starts from your awareness of it. Now, if you choose with that awareness, if you say, okay, wait a minute, I'm not going to jump my guns and I'm going to figure out what I require in this moment and I'm going to take a step at a time, things going to be different. But if you say, okay, but this is how it is and I have to live with it, then we can't help you. Nobody can help you. So if you want to create a change, you've got to do the hard work of building or rebuilding the platform on which your relationship is based. Now, some people accept it, some people do not accept it, some people retaliate. And obviously, we have trained them in a particular manner. If you have trained them to behave in a certain manner, that if they react, if they raise their voice, you just, you cave in and you do not say your point. And if you have trained them over these years to behave in that manner, it will take some time before they change the training and if they start looking at you from a different light. But that choice is with you, my friend. So you have a choice to live in that victim story, or you have a choice to do something or do whatever it takes to change that victim story. What is your choice? And that is the most important aspect of this conversation. Other people may expect anything, and they might not like you not agreeing with them, which is obvious. They are allowed to not like you for not liking them, right? Like if for example, if somebody says that I require this, and if you say, okay, I'm going to make sure that every morning when you wake up, before you wake up, this is done. Now, if you have trained them to do that, after 5th or 7th attempt, when you do not do it, when you fail to do it, or when you refuse to do it, they will have a problem. And they will say, but you said you will be doing it. And you have to probably renegotiate the space and create newer platforms. Now, I have spoken about Esther Perel, who is this wonderful woman who is a relationship expert, and she says people who are in long-term relationship with one another, not only couples, but any two people who are in long-term relationship with one another, they constantly keep choosing one another. So they reinvent their relationship. They change the norms of that relationship. And let's look at any friendship, any relationship that you have been over these years. You have changed the norm, you've changed the setting because you moved out, you went to study somewhere, you came back and you were a different person. You negotiated those spaces. Some negotiations or some new contract making, like like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, how he kept making contract for every single thing. So if you have to renew your contracts and be with same people in a different light because you have changed, because you're making a different choice, you will have to go through the work of walking through the process. Right? Now, I want to talk about the other side of expectations, but I'm going to take a moment and talk about how we can do this renegotiation of setting the platform. One of the most important aspects of doing this renegotiation is understanding that the problem that we are dealing with is in front of us. And you and I are a team. when you and I are a team, and when we are looking at the problem, there are certain things we can do and certain things we cannot do. Certain things we can change, certain things we cannot change. And if you are very clear about what is negotiable for you and what is not negotiable for you, initially, there will be a struggle. But if you sustain through that struggle, if you know that you're confident enough to sustain through that struggle, people come around. And you'll be surprised how that simple approach of being firm and calm at the same time really goes a long way. And the second aspect, when I say that facts model, I talk about authenticity. Please remember, if you're not authentically committed to creating your life, if you do not do things that make you happy, no matter what you do, you won't be happy. No matter who's clapping for you, you won't be happy. And I'm saying this after working with so many leaders. I have, these CEOs and CXOs I work with as a high performance coach, and after achieving all the things that they thought were really, really important for them, when they turn around and when they feel that, but I went against the grain, that, the person that I am, the metal that I believed in, I forgot that. If that's what happens, then in spite of all the external success, these people are not happy with themselves, right? So if it matters to you that you don't want to lead an anxious life, a horribly painful life, a life where you wake up and you're going through palpitations, and when you go to bed, you cannot go to bed because all these possibilities of what about disappointing all these people, or they expect me to do ABC and I'm not able to, or I refuse to, how I'm going to manage, that is taking a center stage of your life, then it is your responsibility to deal with these overwhelming experiences. Okay, now that is the first part of expectation. The second and way more complicated part of expectations is, how about your expectations? How about the way you look at the things that are told to you, or the way people kind of create that, like you believe that if I love you, if you think I'm important, why would you not agree with me? Why would you not do things that you should be doing? Why would you not pay attention to my requests or my demands or my whatever ideas of life? Now, do you do that? Because lots of your disappointment in any relationship comes from the fact that you are absolutely staying in the traps of controlling other people with your expectations. Have you given it a thought? And is it possible to have a relationship with no expectations? Is it like, if I'm in a relationship with you, I will feel like I require something. I want you to love me back. I want you to respect me. I want you to do blah, 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 blah. So I will have expectations. Otherwise, what's the point of having a relationship? You can be friends and you need not even call this so-called relationship. Then you do whatever you want to do. I'll do whatever I want to do. I've heard these monologues so many times that people are like, I don't think it's possible. No, it's not happening. It's not possible to live without expectations. I hear you. I hear that side of you. But let's look at it, okay? What happens when we have expectations? What happens? Like think of any situation where you have had expectation from somebody. Somebody stood there and said, okay, I love you. And because I say, okay, great, I love you too. Because we are in this close, intimate relationship, now some portion of your life belongs to me. I'm going to decide, I'm going to design, I'm going to, in a way, and I know this, right? We all have done it. I'm not saying that, oh my God, this is like a spiritual process, I haven't done it. No, absolutely. I have gone through that process with exact OCD standards of how things should be and how they must be and all of that. So I know exactly what happens when we become controlling bitches, if I may say that word, for all the women when it comes to relationship, and men, you can choose your word. But the whole idea of being in the relationship and then owning that space by proving the point that you got to follow what I set as the rule of the house or rule of this relationship. Or so many times it also becomes like the privacy aspect, where you have to show me your phone, you have to, we cannot keep any secrets from each other, any expectation. Now let's understand, if the relationship is based on expectations, it will have disappointments. It will have all the challenges of how you should behave, what you should be doing, what you should be delivering. And then a part of you will constantly evaluate how much the other person loves you based on how much that person follows your ways of being. But you know this, right? We get attracted to people because they're so different and they're fascinating and they're this and they're that. And eventually when we come together, it becomes about you, but to turn into my version of you. But I won't turn into your version of me because I have self-respect and I have my own standards. And this is where we all fall into the trap of fulfilling expectations versus fighting against them. So can you live in a relationship without expectations? No, you will have expectations. But the point to keep in mind is also of choice. You may have the expectation that things should be done in a particular manner, but the other person may or may not do it. The other person may follow your rule or may not. And are you okay with this may or may not, both the sides of the coin? Are you okay with that? That is a question you have to ask yourself over and over again. The whole idea, the way we build the whole conversation around expectation is, if I am physically strong, okay, imagine, like, what does it mean by being physically strong? It's like I can do all the so-called physical movements with ease. I am more immune to whatever is happening, the whole virus in the air or all the other infections. Now, when your body is strong, do you feel agile with it? Do you feel strong with it? Do you feel you're up for more challenges? Right, yes, right? Like, we always feel that when my body is healthy, at its best, I am absolutely operating from the fullest version of me. Now, how about the mind? For our minds to feel that way, that it is in control, it can operate from happiness, it can operate from joy, it can operate from this agility to take enough tension required in the work without taking the unnecessary stress. We got to figure out a platform where we absolutely create this no expectation game. Look at any profession. I'm looking at from a larger idea. Look at any profession. You can guarantee, if you're a baker, you can guarantee the recipe may get you to that point, but you can never guarantee that the final result will be exactly what you expected. Anything can go wrong. The ingredients can go wrong. The temperature can go slightly wrong, and this can that. There's so many things that can go off. There are a few things that you have in your control, and there is a large part of any profession, anything that you are doing is not in your control. Our job is to keep playing to make sure that you do your bit to the fullest. You do your bit in a manner that it turns out, it comes out as a larger idea, but you cannot absolutely control the outcome. So the very moment you start realizing that, okay, certain things are in my control and larger part of this game is not in my control, you'll be able to deal with the same situation in a better manner. Now, this is what I want you to look at. Now, expectations, and so many people felt that they feel the burden of expectation. They feel like that they are kind of, trapped in other people's expectations. Ask yourself, is it only about their expectations, or is it also about your desire of their validation? Because if people do not validate, what you believe in, you feel that sense of lack of control. Priya is saying you cannot control the aeroplane, exactly, and you wait it out. You can't expect it to not fly over in between 4 to 4:30, or rather we should expect it to happen, because every day there is something or other happening between 4 and 4:30. So now we have come to terms with it. So the very moment you look at relationship from the space that if people expect things from you, so I want you to look at it, okay, where expectation becomes a problem. When people have these expectations from you, that time it's a problem, or when you have expectations from other people, and that time it becomes a problem. Think about it. It can be both, it can be one of them, it can be either of them. Just figure it out. What is it for you? One in larger degree, another is in smaller degree. Where is your expectation related problems? When you evaluate it, when you kind of start walking into that whole situation, you realize that people are trying to throw their expectations on you to make sure that they fulfill their version of their life. When you are calm, when you are submissive, when you do exactly what they want, they feel happy about their life because this is how they want their life, right? So it becomes easier for them to go about things when you are following the regime created by them. And if you fail to do that, it becomes inconvenient, uncomfortable, and you require to set newer grounds for them to understand it. If you are carrying expectations which you constantly feel exhausted about and disappointed with, you're like, oh my god, why can't this person love me enough? People say things like that if you do not fulfill what I want, what's the point of being in a relationship? As if it's a mandate. It's a mandate that if I am in a relationship with you, you've got to follow the rules that I'm setting. So today's journaling question around expectation is, I want you to go deeper and understand when you feel disappointed with other people. When you say, so I'm going to focus on you. I know I've given you enough conversation about how to deal with other people's expectations, but now I want to focus on you. When you feel disappointed with other people because they do not do what you want them to do, you're actually giving your remote controls in their hands. It's almost like that trigger conversation that we had. One of the conversations here was about, if you're new here, you must listen to that conversation we had about trigger versus response, reaction versus response, and another conversation of how to say no politely or with kindness. Like, both these conversations will come handy because they are part of today's whole expectation based conversation. Right now, I'm going to answer all the questions that you guys are writing because all of them are important, and I believe this topic is slightly complicated, so you require that kind of example based discussion. So if you give me examples in your questions, it will be easier for me to look at it. If you have already written, no problem, I will ask you questions and that time you respond. But I'm going to get to the handwriting practice, and before that, today's journaling question. Think about ways in which you feel disappointed when people do not meet your expectations. So let's begin there and ask yourself this question. Sit down and ask yourself this question, that when I'm disappointed in others, how do I give control of my life to them? When I am disappointed in others, basically when they do not fulfill my expectations, how do I give the control of my life in their hands? Now it could be any example. Like I remember like 4-5 months back, I was dealing and deliberating on this thought that I am very particular when it comes to certain design standards. If you look at our Instagram and other content, we are in terms of design, every single edit, every single thing is looked at very, very closely. And our team, like, they are amazing. They're amazing with what they do, but I am also like very difficult when it comes to not giving away those minute details. And it used to get to me, like literally I used to go like crazy. I would not like lose my calm on other things, but when the design standards or certain things were not met, I used to lose my calm, and it kept on happening. And it was very interesting. There is a trigger here and I just couldn't find the trigger. I'm like, but I have to do this, right? It's important that when I actually pick up what I want and I want to dish out that quality of a content, I have to be very particular about it. So I took it upon myself as my job to do the good work or the best possible work that we could do. And while doing that, I constantly, every time that disappointment happened, it just took hold of me. And then while journaling, I realized, where do I give away my remote control? Where do I give away? So today's question which I asked you, so think about your unfulfilled expectations and ask yourself, how do I give away control of my life in other people's hands? What is it? And when I thought about this situation, I realized that little of design can really put me off, and I am making the perfectionist me the controller of the whole situation, or I'm letting the designer who's working decide how I'm going to react to this situation. So my perfectionism was the bigger cause here. And when I caught to myself, I'm like, okay, I want to pursue excellence, but the very moment I become perfectionist, which means I say, this cannot happen, and how could this happen, and that whole righteousness that perfectionist people bring about. Now if that was my control area, that was my controlling area, and the very moment I found that out, it was so liberating, because I think people in my team who are listening may vouch for it, but that behavior, or that liberty I gave myself to lose my calm and become controlling just shifted. So that is the power of awareness. The very moment you bring your awareness to a problem that you're looking at, or the problem you're trying to solve, but with this awareness, the very moment I realize, because it doesn't make sense. Where do I give away control when I'm disappointed? And this is where we shift the whole idea. Okay, so I'm going to move to the graphotherapy stroke, the Kama Sutra practice. All you require is a ruled book and a ballpoint pen, and I'm gonna switch the camera. Get your pen and paper ready. This practice requires you to be involved. People who are on Facebook and YouTube, I won't be able to show you the process, but I'm going to show you how the stroke works out so that you can take a look. Okay, so give me a moment to switch the camera. There you go. So let's look at this practice. Let's look at what we're going to do. We begin every time when we're doing this practice, we begin by focusing or paying attention to our breathing. And there are other 4 rules to follow, but to my mind, the rule of breathing is like of utmost importance. We cannot get that one wrong and solve this problem. Okay, this is better. So every time we do this practice, the breathing is an essential aspect. And now, as I have spoken about expectations, there are thoughts that are going on in your mind. So let these thoughts simmer, and we will get to the practice without actually addressing the issue. So look at it like I opened the wound, which is really hurting, something that is very active about you. And so many people have told me this, that when they do journaling or a stroke, they cry, and they have all these horrible memories coming to them. All of this is a part of the process. If you have infection of any sort, you can't keep it in your body. But you're like, it's painful to deal with this infection, and I don't want to go through the pain, and I don't want to go through the cleaning. Yes, I know it is difficult, but we got to go through it, because carrying that infection in your body is absolutely not a choice. And thereby all toxic emotions, all the disappointments and hurts and resentful emotions that you're carrying about your expectations are not worth carrying them around at all. So let's look at it, let's jump in and let's figure this out. Let's get to the stroke. Breathe slightly longer than normal. And as you do that, go with the flow of the stroke. When you practice this stroke, a few things to keep in mind. The stroke starts on the top, ends on the line always, so no extensions here. Always make sure that the loops are open. The flow must go on. The very moment your hand stops, pick up the pen and start a new stroke. It doesn't matter how long the stroke is. Everywhere that you are disappointed with yourself for not doing certain things, not being good enough, and if that is a problem with expectations and disappointment, we spoke about guilt in one of the conversations. I highly recommend that conversation around guilt in that case. one of the thoughts, your mind will be going all over the place. One of the thoughts will be to pay attention to the stroke formation and pay attention to your breathing, in this case also to my voice. With that thought, just come to the stroke and pay attention to the stroke formation. A stroke at a time. Breathe slightly longer than normal. Now, when you think of a memory that is really troubling, or where you felt disappointment, where you felt hopelessness in a relationship, when you think of that memory, your breathing follows. It becomes shallow, it becomes rapid, it becomes uncomfortable. If you study breath carefully, it also changes in temperature, in length, in velocity. Everything just becomes different when it comes to your breathing. It's like a very acute mechanism which is designed to represent and control your mind as well as your body. And while doing this practice, you breathe slightly longer while forming these strokes, something really interesting happens, and it changes the way you relate to your own memory. That's why Kama Sutra practice is so powerful. Be as involved as possible while doing this practice. Pay attention to each loop. While talking about this today's topic, I was going through some poems and I found this one by Gulzar Saab. He says, मिलता तो बहुत कुछ है ज़िंदगी में, मिलता तो बहुत कुछ है ज़िंदगी में, बस हम गिनती उसी चीज़ों की करते हैं जो हासिल हो न सका. And I thought that was so valid. Like, our disappointments are all about things that have not happened, haven't gone right ways, where people have not fulfilled what you expected from them. But there's also another side where people have and life has, but we just miss it in the larger context of coloring our ideas of what is happening, what we expected, and how disappointed we are. I'm gonna switch the camera